When you are.
All right. In the sake of time, we'll get this going right now then. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the May 20th, 2020 meeting of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District Citizens Advisory Committee, following up on our meeting from last week, completing the agenda items. We will begin with roll call. I guess Gina's doing this tonight?
Yes, Gina's doing
Yes. This is Arlene Schaefer. I'm here.
Oh, hi, Arlene.
Arlene.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi. Okay, Chair Mike Carey,
Present.
Andrew Nielsen,
Here.
Daniel Baum,
Here.
Dicky Fernandez,
Present.
Elodie Katz,
Here.
Judith Gilo, Judy, can you hear us? All right, her audio may not be working. Judith Takaya.
Here.
Monty Fields. Bill Marsh. Seth Greiner
Here.
and Sue Lester.
Here.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for agreeing to convene so quickly after our last meeting. Let's move into public comments. I understand a committee member would like to make a comment during public comments, but I'm not sure if the audio is up right. Judith, are you on?
It
No.
sounds like she may have lost audio, so maybe we could come back to her during committee member and staff comments after.
Okay. All right. I see somebody joining back in. Judith, are you there? No?
I just wanted to know, do I have to?
Okay. Is it?
Oh, they can hear you. Obviously, they just heard.
Yeah. I can't see the rest of the participants right now, but is there anybody else from the public that would like to comment at this point?
Chair
Hearing-
Carey, we don't have any members of the public present.
Okay. Thank you, Gina.
You're welcome.
Okay. Moving on, we'll go back to our one agenda item to review and discuss the draft 2020 strategic plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we'll dive right into this. As you know, the committee discussed our draft strategic plan last Wednesday. We couldn't get through it all to last Wednesday because, as you recall, the committee set a kind of a policy where we will stop the meeting at 7:30, and then whatever we can get done, we would discuss it at our next meeting. Because our strategic plan is planned to be adopted by the board in June, and the CAC's next meeting won't be until July, the committee agreed to meet tonight and try to finish up reviewing, commenting on the draft plan. Gina, if you can go to slide 5, please.
Okay, I see you again.
Can you hear us, Judith? Okay. So on slide 5,
Scott,
yes,
sounded like,
yes, Judith. Do you have a question?
okay. Have we started?
Yes,
can't
meeting is starting right
start.
now. Is there something? Is there a comment you want to make, or something you wanted to say?
Well, Judith is having connection problems.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Well, let me move on slide number 5. I just want to show a couple of changes we made based on the CAC's recommendation. We took out the word preserve. I think it was to protect the public health and preserve the environment. So the recommendation, remove that word, and we did, and it reads nicely: to protect the public health and the environment for current and future generations. So that was a nice comment by the committee. And then if you can go to slide 7, please, Gina. So this was another recommendation by the CAC, is to remove the numberings, because remember we had some discussion with the board as far as maybe there might be some confusion with the public as prioritizing our strategic elements. So we created these blocks that was suggested by the CAC, and looks very nice. And I think you can, by this way, you can tell there's really no one element that takes precedent over the other. We treat everyone as equal. So again, very nice comment, and thank you from the committee for that. So let me move on to slide number 17. I think that's where we left off, Gina. And one thing you'll notice also on this presentation is under the strategies, we did add some little more definition of what the strategy is about. So the last time we met last week, we just had the bold strategy for, like, example on the top of the screen, focus on generating less contaminated materials. Well, you'll see now in all the strategies, we add a little more information on what that means and why we want to do that strategy. So where we left off last week was really at the bottom, and that was explore biomass conversion of solid waste materials. And so you're probably thinking, well, what is biomass conversion? Basically, that's incinerations, basically what that is, burning trash.
I hear you again.
Now you're probably thinking, well, why would we do that? Isn't burning evil in the solid waste business? And honestly, I think it's going to be the wave of the future is incineration or biomass, because quite frankly, everywhere else around the world, that's what they're doing. If you go to China, Europe, Japan, they're all incinerating their trash. In fact, in Denmark, it is illegal to have landfills. They do not have landfills in Denmark. Everything is burned. And the way they do it in Denmark is that, well, what about all the smoke and the pollution that emits in the atmosphere? And how it works in Denmark is they treat the smoke before it's emitted in the atmosphere. So after they treat the smoke, really what's getting emitted in the atmosphere is just steam, and it's harmless to the atmosphere. You probably didn't know this, but there already are incinerators in California. There is one in Riverside, I think Riverside, San Bernardino County, that is currently burning trash, plastics. And that might be with all the plastic bans that we're having right now and taking plastics to the landfill, this could be a method used to divert plastic away from the landfills. So the action plan is really just to do a feasibility study, because there's a cost associated with this. It's a lot of planning, a lot of public input required, but this could be another method for diverting trash away from landfills. Any questions on biomass?
You started without me, guys. I didn't get to say my piece earlier.
Do you want to say at the end of the committee meeting?
Well, I don't know, because I would like it to make, I would like to make a change in one of your
Okay.
things.
Okay,
So-
which one is it?
It's the fiduciary goals.
So down the bottom. So, okay, so do you want to comment on it when we get there?
You've already gone, we did that last week, or yeah, last week was our last meeting. And we talked about the fiduciary goals, as well as all the goals.
I don't think we've gotten to all the goals. You mean the elements, or the strategies?
It was the very first part of your program for this year.
Okay, well, what suggestion do you want to make?
Well, under fiduciary goals, I read them carefully because I had too much time, and I feel that the goal for this year is the same as last year, and that the goal has a redundancy, and I wondered about why it had a battle word in there. The issue is that you would be fair and equitable and competitive, whereas I think that the redundancy is with the fair and equitable. Well, if you look it up in the dictionary, which I had too much time to do, and I looked up equitable and found out it meant fair and just. And then I decided, well, equity, because I think equity was also mentioned. And equity is fairness, justice, and impartiality. And then I looked at the word competitive and thought, well, if we are fair and if we are just and if we are impartial, then why do we have to say we're competitive? It sounds like a battle word. Doesn't it cover the matter to say that you are seeking fairness, justice, and impartiality?
Yeah, sure. Good point. Very good point. We can definitely, if you're not comfortable, we can talk about, see what other CIC members feel about that too, but taking out the word competitiveness. I believe our thinking was fair and just. Everyone has a different definition of what they think is fair and just. And so when we say competitiveness, what we mean by competitiveness is that we don't want our rates, we want the rates to be the highest rates in the county, but we also don't want them to be the lowest either. And so we want our rates to be like right in the middle, competitive with other ones, off a few cents here and there.
Well, isn't it enough to say that you would have fairness and justice and impartiality
Sure.
as your goals? And then you wouldn't have to say, and we compete with everybody and we win. But it just, you are doing it. You're doing the right thing for the right people at the right time. You're there. You don't need to sort of pose yourself with some other group.
Okay.
We love you as you are.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. What is good comments, good suggestion. Any CAC members want to say anything about what Judith mentioned, or agree, disagree, or again, we're open to Judith's comments and making those suggestions, but I'd like to hear from the rest
I
of the
have a
committee.
question for Judith.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder what word you think would be a word that we could replace competitive with.
Impartiality. I would go to Webster and take the definition of equability. The big long word runs into equity, and define equity is fair and just. And so adding the definition then of the equity with fair and just, the only addition is impartiality. And so I think if you're looking for 3 words to use, fairness, you're going to be doing your, fiduciary goals are to fairness, the best of fairness, if you want, and fairness and justice and impartiality.
Okay. Any other comments from the committee members?
I have one comment. This is Sue.
Go ahead,
Can I
Sue.
go?
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay. I completely understand where Judith is coming from and where she's going with it. I just look at it differently. Like, I look at the word competitive in this context as I would like from an HR perspective, where I would want our salaries to be competitive with like employers. So I don't necessarily look at it as, you know, competing with anyone else. I look at it as being comparable. So that's my 2 cents. Either, you know, change it, don't change it, but I just, you know, whatever. That's it.
Thank you, Sue. This is Mike. I don't take the word competitive as being adversarial. I view it as the district valuing the revenue that they're getting from the ratepayers and taking every form of responsibility to make sure that we're getting the best services at the best rates compared to everybody else in the county, and that the district values the ratepayers enough to be able to constantly monitor the rates and be able to provide a superior product at a fair price. That's just my take.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
This is Dicky from OCSD. I tend to concur with Sue and with Mike. I see competitive rates as what they
Judith, do
expressed,
you think
and
it
that's
would
how
be better to
we express it at OCSD as well.
say-
I think it's fairly common.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
There was something twanging. Somebody else wanted to say.
So what I'll do is, Judith, just to be fair for all the community members, we'll put your suggestion down for the board to consider. We'll keep it as competitive rates, but then we'll mention to the board your comments and see if the board wants to go to impartiality. So we'll make sure that your comments is heard by the board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to slide 17, please.
You thought
What?
Yeah, slide 17. Okay, so we finish up on biomass. Anything on biomass that I talked about that we're going to be exploring here in the next few years? If not, we'll move on. So this next strategy is providing a program for collecting large items, which, as you know, we do right now. So our goal is to increase that by 5%. Our thinking is that if we can increase our white good recycling, like refrigerators, washer and dryers, microwaves, stuff like that can be recycled, that can help increase our diversion. So we get more participation, higher our diversion rate can go. So that was our thing in our action plan. Any questions on that?
Scott, this is Elodie. I have a question.
Yes.
Are any other items recycled from that program? I don't know, large plastics or?
No, it's
Not
just
sure
white
what.
goods. It's just
Okay,
the white
and then
goods.
if someone has large pieces of like tree trunks or something that's organic waste, does it get crossed over into the anaerobic
Yes.
program?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one was next strategy is improve waste stream and recycling reporting. And the way we do that is we conduct waste characterization studies. And what that does, it takes a sample of the waste. So we'll take a couple of routes. We'll take a couple of samples of waste collected by a few routes within the district. And then we try to determine what discarded items are found in the waste stream. And this is how we determine our diversion rate. And so it's, as we said in the strategy, it's very important to make sure our numbers are accurate, our data is accurate. And so we believe if we do our waste characterization studies on a quarterly basis, we can have a more accurate diversion rate. Right now, it's about 61%. Who knows what it is now with COVID-19 now that plastics are being thrown in the trash. So again, it'd be a good time to do another study to see where we stand. So that's what that is.
Scott, I have a question or a comment. Is this incumbent on the waste hauler to complete the waste characterization study, or is that something that you plan on hiring a consultant or doing in-house?
They've done it before, but unfortunately, they're just not doing it as like frequently as we would want them to do it. So I believe staff is suggesting that we will do it more frequently ourselves. We would hire consultants to do the study. They would coordinate that with CNR and perform the study.
Is that a contractual obligation currently that they provide that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Scott, I have a question. In terms of diversion rate, how do the others in our county perform? There are other districts.
Well, one thing you got to understand, we're just diverting residential waste. Okay, so that's all we're doing. So when the cities, when they count a diversion, they're counting residential and commercial. So if you just take residential just by itself, we're at the top. I think we have the highest diversion on residential in the county. We're like at least the top third. So we do very well in the residential, very well.
Okay, thanks.
Scott, this is Elodie. I had a follow-up question to Mike. would this essentially audit the report that CRNR gives us about where, I don't know if you remember last year, I think we saw one where the bulk of it went to China and then there were some other facilities in California. Would this go further than what they
That's, I
report?
think that's a you're talking about as a manifest. So that's
I think it was the manifest. Would there be some component of the characterization study that would audit those reports that they provide?
No, the characterization study, it's just what the characterization study is it takes a sample of what's collected from the homes, and then it takes it directly to the transfer station and just say, okay, what are we collecting? What's, they just dump it out on the ground and say, well, what is collected?
Okay,
It does have nothing to do with it has some ties to the manifest, but that's not the purpose of the study.
okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. Okay, let's move on. So the next one is exemplify sustainability internally, and we do this now, and that's basically we purchase and acquire sustainable products like the tote bags. What else do we do? We also buy like biodegradable plates and utensils when we have special events. So you know, we want to, when we're encouraging residents to be sustainable, we want to make sure we're not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. So that's what this strategy and action is coming from. And then the next strategy is recycling green waste food scraps. As you know, we're doing that now with the curbside organics recycling program. This action plan will continue compost giveaway event, which we did our first one last year. Where we had one again. It was a great coordination with TRNR and the OCC Recycling Center. So Mike helped us a lot with that. We were planning on doing it this year, but obviously we know what happens. So we had to cancel the event. Hopefully by next year we can have the event where every resident can have at least 2 free bags of composting, which comes from the green waste and food scraps from the organics recycling program. So it's like giving back to the community of what they're recycling. Any questions?
Okay.
Okay. The next one is enhance our code enforcement presence. So we do have a part-time code enforcement officer. His primary goal right now is to deter scavenging, people from taking recyclables away from the trash. Also, believe it or not, one of his big responsibilities, and it takes a lot of his time, is people storing their trash cards out in public view, or they're not bringing their trash cards in after collection, which I don't understand why, but it happens. And so he goes out and tags them, reminds them to bring it back. And after a couple of tries, they don't do that, he can cite them. He's never done that before. Usually when he gives his yellow tag, it gets their notice, but it's still surprising to me that when you see his reports every month, he's still issuing hundreds of first notices to residents, which surprises me. But we wanted to increase, one way we want to increase his presence is that we are experiencing some contaminations in our green waste carts. Meaning people are throwing trash, cardboards, other materials other than green waste or food scraps in the organic carts. So if he saw like cardboard sticking out of the green waste cart, and he would put a tag on that cart and said, hey, for the reminder, this does not go in this cart, this goes in the mixed waste cart. And we would start tracking that trend and trying to see, okay, how many people are really contaminating the green waste cart. So that's one way we're looking at enhancing our code enforcement is helping with trying to curtail the contamination that we're experiencing.
Can we clarify, this is Mike, can we clarify increase code enforcement presence? So does that increase code enforcement or their presence?
No, it's just, I mean, it's just like you'd be changing different type of activities. So like I said, instead of focusing on scavenging and trash carts in public view, you would also focus on contamination. So he would go in, if he sees, like I said, if he saw a bunch of cardboard coming out of the green waste cart, he's going to go and tag it and say, hey, this is not the proper way. You know, remind people to put their cardboard in the mixed waste cart. So
right, but increasing presence means increasing hours. Is that what we're talking about?
No, not at this point. He's still part-time. It's more expanding his role. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
The code that establishes that you have to remove or not, where do you put carts out and can you leave them in that spot? I live on an alley. Nobody puts them out front.
Well, an alley's a different beast. That's a totally different beast. And we've tried addressing those alleys before. The code really is supposed to reflect trash carts in front of people's homes. The alleys are in the back of homes. So it's a
Right.
little bit different animal for us. We have addressed trash carts in the alleys, making sure that the alleys aren't blocked for public safety vehicles driving down those alleys. We make sure that the carts are on public or private property, not on public property. But it's not, so it's looked at a little bit differently than having someone storing their cart in the front of someone's house.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's really a simple one. When we say trash carts, do we just mean the big trash cans?
Yes, we call them carts. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. Yes. No such thing as a dumb question. That was a good one. Okay. Let me move on to the next item, which we're really proud of. And I think that was discussed last week about our Retired American Flag program we started last year. And it was actually recommended by one of our former board members, Dan Worthington, who saw, he wanted to start something, he saw similar in Newport Beach, where they had like, it was an old postal service mailbox that was painted red, and it was for dropping off flags. Well, he was getting the runaround because, you know, he's dealing with the federal government. You know how difficult that can be. Wasn't getting any kind of right answer, and then he couldn't get any kind of mailbox. And I said to him, well, hey, we can do that here. We can box, we can do that. We can put a nice little art flag wrapped around it, and we can maybe partner with the Boy Scouts and have them pick up the flags out of the box every month. And then the Boy Scouts have a ceremony for properly disposing flags. Usually they burn them or bury them. I believe they take the flags to the fire department's training facility on Essentia, and they burn the flag on the ceremony. And since we implemented this program, we've had a huge response. Well over several hundred flags have been properly disposed of through this program. It's been a huge success. And quite frankly, I was very shocked when I saw flags in the landfill. And when former board member Dan Worthington brought this to my attention, I was very pleased that we could implement this. It's a great program.
The Boy Scouts would appreciate knowing where you want them to do their services, because I'm involved with Boy Scouting and girls now too. And I've been to programs in Fairview Park, and I've been to programs at one of the churches in the middle of town. They do the whole honor ceremony with the flags. And if you have some structure of how you want it to be done, or can you approve certain places in Costa Mesa for it to be done?
Yes, thank you, Judith. I don't know the number, but there's a Costa Mesa troop in Costa Mesa that we partner with. And so it's a Costa Mesa Boy Scout troop. And
Yes.
so you can find it on our website. If you go on the homepage, you'll see there's a picture of them. It was actually last year, did a nice story about them. So yeah, the procedures it's really easy. They just come and get a key from us, unlock the box, take the flags, and then they take it to the fire station and do their ceremony for burning it. It's a great program.
They take it to a fire station?
Yes. Yes.
Then other Boy Scout troops are also getting flagged, and but they're not taking them to the fire stations.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I just know that the troop that we're working with, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
It's a great program.
How would you like the troops to organize with you? Should we make some kind of connection? Because, I mean, I do know these other troops that are doing this casually by schools.
Yeah, I don't, honestly, it's something we could talk about. I don't want to have too many troops involved. I think, with one troop involved, and it's a Costa Mesa troop, it seems to be working well. Obviously, if the troop wasn't being responsive enough and picking up flags, then we could probably, or didn't have time, then we could look at other troops. But this time,
Yeah. These are Costa Mesa troops
yeah,
that I'm talking about.
yeah, that's the one we're using right now. I mean, I don't think we need like 20 troops taking the flags out.
There's more than one Costa Mesa troop,
Okay.
and they all like to do it.
Okay. Okay. Well, we could talk about that. Why don't you give me some contact information and we can look into that.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Okay, so that's enough for solid waste. The next element is emergency preparedness, which is obviously very important and what we're doing right now. And our objective for emergency preparedness is to maintain responsible emergency management practices, to practice public health and safety, and district resources. Any comments on the objective? Okay, let's move on. So our strategies, not many, but it's very important. These are our strategies. And any questions on that?
Hey, Scott, is infectious disease part of your emergency preparedness? Is that a contingency that's here?
It wasn't, honestly, Andrew, it was not originally. I think for most EOCs, it was not a planned contingency. Typically, we plan for earthquakes. You know, that's our number one concern. Earthquakes, high wind advisories, fires. To some extent, not brush fires, but also we have fires that can burn the pump stations. Flooding is another issue. We definitely have concerns with flooding. But no, infectious disease it's a new animal for us, and so we're learning as we go on this one.
That's it's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. Okay. Next slide.
Ability, I have a follow-up to Andrew's question. I was reading some articles that were saying because of social distancing, some of the processing plants are having trouble processing the waste they're picking up, and some garbage truck drivers are having trouble making their shifts. Has anyone reached out to CR&R to make sure that there won't be any disruptions of the pandemic?
There's been no disruption in service, but we know because of social distancing, they cannot recycle at their recycling plants. And all recyclables are being dumped at the trash, dumped at the landfill.
So the diversion rate is going to suffer likely.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's not just us; it's all the cities. And Cal Recycle has recognized that, and they understand that diversions are going to go down. As long as we use a good faith effort, then no one's going to basically get in trouble with Cal Recycle with the state.
I see. Is there something in place if CR&R isn't able to meet the demand or the regular schedules that they need to notify you, or how that process would work?
Obligation to meet their demands. So if they went on strike, if they didn't have enough drivers, they have to. Their managers got to go out and drive. They are under contract obligations to make sure that service is provided.
Okay.
I assume that they'll be, this is Mike, I assume that they'll be resuming regular sorting services in the very near future. There's new protocols that are in place right now. Waste management throughout the rest of the county that serves Irvine has started separating their waste again. So I think it's coming very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get try to get back to business as normal as possible. So here's our emergency preparedness. Again, our strategy is to conduct regular emergency testing, training, and exercises, and that's really the only way you can get prepared for a disaster. You're never ever really ready for a disaster, as long as you keep your testing, your training, your learning, you can do the best you can. And I would say the first 3 action plans here we're doing right now. The Water Emergency Response Organization, Orange County. That is a group that is for water, wastewater professionals. And so we rely on them in addition to the county when we need assistance. Everything else, the 800 megahertz radios, which is brand new, we have in our system, that allows us to talk to other agencies in emergency. If cell phones are down, we can still talk to each other on the radios. And then emergency management training, again, like I said, that's important. We always want to do our training. The last item on there is something we've never done before. So this is brand new, and that is to participate in the Great California Shakeout earthquake, which we do every year. We've never done this before, so this will be our first time we do it, and we'll hopefully we can do this every year. And this is a great way to prepare for what they say is going to be coming one day is the great earthquake. So, like I said, the more training you do, the better prepared you are. Okay, any questions?
Will the Great Shakeout focus more on wastewater than solid waste, or is it everything?
That's a good question. You know, again, we never really participated in this program, so I don't know what it entails. I'm assuming it. I couldn't answer that. I hope they do. I hope they do.
This is Mike. That usually focuses more on just earthquake preparedness, at least for an evacuation protocols. That's how it's handled at Orange Coast College. It kind of helps develop the plan and make sure people know what they would do in an emergency. So it's a one-day event at a very specific time. It's usually, I think, what, October 17th or somewhat right around. It's in October. But historically, it focuses more just on earthquake preparedness.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are these preparedness plans and details accessible to the public?
No, I don't have those accessible to public. I need to look at it again. I don't know if there's any sensitivity to that, only because let's say a terrorist gets a hold of it, and they would know what our emergency response would be. I don't, that could be something.
Are there records though that are on file in case they were needed?
Yes, oh, absolutely. Every staff, in fact, we have an emergency operations plan. Every staff has a member, every staff has a copy of that plan. We have several plans in our EOC. Yes, so everyone has that plan, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so the next items is make sure we have our, here we go, the documents and supplies. When we have an emergency preparedness, when you have a disaster, you have to document. That's what we're experiencing right now with COVID-19. As you know, it's a federal emergency, which means we can get reimbursed on expenses related to COVID-19. So we have to track our hours, employees' hours. We track all the expenses related to COVID-19. So then we can submit for reimbursements. And there's special forms that we have to fill out. So we make sure those forms are available. We have enough supplies. So if there was a catastrophic disaster and we're on our own, let's say a big earthquake and we're on our own, we got to make sure we have enough water and food for our employees to feed them while they're in the EOC sleeping cots, in case of shifts. So we make sure there's plenty of supplies. And so every year we audit our supplies to make sure they're well stocked. And this is the question that came up earlier. This is the emergency operations plan. This is the document all our staff has. This document that explains all the positions in the EOC and the responsibilities and all the forms that we need to fill out. So updated annually and to make sure it's in compliance with federal and state regulations. The last one is brand new, something we've never done before. And this is last year we installed a solar panel system at HQ, which has been a huge success of cutting down our electricity, reduced our electricity by 2/3. It's been great. But as you know, the solar panels, they are connected to the grid. So when the grid loses power, the solar system loses power. So we're just like your everyday electricity, we lose power. And when that happens, we have to bring a generator in to hook up to our power and provide electricity to the building. By having a battery, the batteries would be connected to the solar system, and the solar system would unload excess energy into the batteries. So when the solar system, when the grid powers out, when there's a power outage and the grid dies, the batteries, the energy, all electricity that's stored in the batteries kick in, and now it would recharge. It would charge up the systems, and it'll provide electricity to the building. The great thing about this possibility is now we don't have to have a generator towed into the HQ. So that takes a lot of time to go to the yard, get the generator, bring it to the HQ, hook it up. So that loses a valuable time when you're in an emergency running your operations. So we want to make sure we want to do this feasibility study to see, one, where can we put a battery? Do we have enough room to put one there? Two, how much will it cost? And then, 3, it would be effective. So that's really the purpose of the feasibility study. So really excited about that. Any questions?
Does that battery get charged by the solar system?
That's how it gets charged, is by the solar panels. It's continually being charged by the solar system.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Monty. I had a question about the emergency preparedness.
Yeah, hi, Monty.
I do see that it focuses on operational, but when it comes to the administrative portion of emergency preparedness, is that also included, or is the administrative side included elsewhere? And by administrative side, I just mean the office employees being on deck, and the employees having access to call in case there are any issues. Also, the public having access to the administration in case there are any issues, and also the disaster recovery in case there's a situation with the building itself, like an off-site, a cold site or warm site, something like that, or is that associated with something completely different, not the strategic plan?
No, that's a good question. No, all the administrative staff really has a role in the EOC. So if we have a catastrophic disaster, my wastewater guys, the field guys, they're going to be out in the field assessing the infrastructure, while the administrative staff will be in the EOC documenting information, working out logistics, coordinating with other agencies, documenting expenditures. It's a really important role of finance to make sure we document everything. Important is documentation. When we do preparedness, any kind of training, we also include the administrative function of the EOC, because that's the administrative function in the field really goes hand in hand, and it's very important they work side by side with each other.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Okay. Moving on. Partnership. So our partnership here is the objective is to cultivate and maintain collaborative relationships with other organizations to achieve desired goals and outcomes. So this is an element we want to work with other agencies, public and private, in the community. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the strategies. Again, I'm not going to go down to these bullet points, but if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, let's move on. Well, our first strategy here is to build relationships with local agencies, small businesses, nonprofit agencies, and to promote sustainable practices. So on this one, what we're looking at is, even though we're not really responsible for businesses, we're still there to help. And our thinking was we can create a checklist, a sustainability checklist for business to use. And if they do it well, then we can highlight them in our newsletter or outreach channels to say, hey, this company is doing really well to practice sustainability. We also want to establish relations with local businesses, like the local furniture store. So let's say someone comes in and they want to buy a new refrigerator or a new kitchen table. And then that store can tell them how we envision the store, hey, if you want to get rid of your old table or your old refrigerator, participate in the large item collection program at the district. It's free to the public, and it gives them an opportunity to take advantage of that program. We want the idea is having the business help us promote our programs. And then the third one is CEPA, the Citizen Environmental Protection Academy. For our new CAC members, I highly recommend, if you get a chance, to participate in the CEPA once it's back up and running. You talk to some of your fellow CAC members that participate in the program. It is a really successful academy where we take you on tours and you see firsthand how our solid waste is recycled, how the organic recycling program. We take you out to Paris in Riverside and show you the anaerobic digestion technology and show you how that works. We take you to Orange County Sanitation District to see what happens after you flush a toilet. Where does it go and how is it treated? So it's a really in-depth 3 to 4 days academy that I think you'll really enjoy. And so we got a lot of good feedback, and we want to continue this program. The last one on there is something new too. Develop a system for local real estate agents to notify district of new residents. So we get, obviously we got a lot of people moving into Costa Mesa, leaving Costa Mesa. And so if we establish a partnership with real estate agents to let us know, hey, they have a new homeowner or a new tenant, we can send them out a welcome package. And in that welcome package, they'll have all our programs and let them know that, hey, we're not the city, we're the sanitary district, and here are the programs that we have available for you to take advantage of. Any questions on building relationships with local agencies? Okay, we move on. Also, we want to be a partner with the Costa Mesa Chamber of Commerce. They have 500 members, and we believe those members can be very beneficial to us and helpful in getting our information out. So we can add our events on their programs, on their websites, and on their mobile app to disseminate our events and our special programs. So and vice versa, we can do this for Chamber of Commerce too. If any special programs, we can promote their programs as well. So it could be a very good partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on. So next one is cross-promote public outreach content that applies to the different service areas. So this is to really coordinate promotion awareness campaigns with other agencies. So we would work with like the City of Costa Mesa, City of Newport Beach, the school district, Mesa Water District possibly, OCC, all the schools, all the public agencies out there that help disseminate our programs, and then we can do the same with them as well. The next one is kind of the same one, whereas we do monitor other agencies' posts on social media. Like we'll get information from Orange County Sanitation District or from Orange County Vector Control, and then we'll post that out as well. So we help disseminate that for them as well, and they can do the same. So it's that partnership of sharing information and disseminating to the public, because in the end, the public benefits from that. Any questions?
Scott, why don't we have CSDA on there?
I don't know.
And we don't have CRMA, the risk management, which is.
Well, we have SDRMA on. I know we've done that. We have that later in the slides. I know we do have SDRMA. We'll get that in a few slides.
We don't have CSDA, which really we deal with the legislation through partnerships.
Yeah, and we do talk about that later about legislation, but we don't really spell it out with CSDA. I don't believe we can get there. I'll show you.
Okay.
Then the next item is LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission. And honestly, this is probably the most powerful government agency that no one really knows about. This is the agency that could consolidate special districts. This is the agency that can dissolve special districts, dissolve cities, sets boundaries. A lot of very powerful tools that they have, but a lot of people don't know about LAFCO. Their primary goal really is to ensure governments, local governments, cities, and special districts are operating efficiently. And so every 3 years, I believe it is, they do municipal service reviews, in which they're currently doing one right now. And that's when they make sure that governments are running efficiently. And they do a full analysis that's open to the public. If you haven't, I encourage you to go on their website and you can learn more about LAFCO. What we want to do is make sure we continue monitoring LAFCO's activities so there's no surprises. And so our action plan is to regularly go to the board meetings to just stay informed on LAFCO issues. The next item is the work with cities of Costa Mesa and Newport Beach to enhance services. We have a very good working relationship with both cities. On this action plan is to create an enforced workflow sheet, which Newport Beach does this very well. It's a workflow sheet that describes to developers what they need to do to get their developments through the process, which we're included in that. Costa Mesa hasn't gotten there yet, and so my staff wants to work with the city of Costa Mesa of developing a similar worksheet. So, any questions on that? If not, we'll move on to the next slide. So this will educate students enrolling in learning institutions. This is colleges, high schools, elementary schools, anywhere where students are learning. One action plan we thought might be fun is as a show and tell at elementary school. I know when I was in Carlsbad, I worked in some of Carlsbad, we had show and tells for when the police department, the fire department, we bring the K9 unit into the classroom, we bring a fire truck over and practice on the hose, or they'd have the tree crews there. The kids got really excited about it. And we thought, well, why don't we bring our trucks, our big equipment over there and show them the technology we use, what we do. Maybe, that might get them a little excited. And next time when they see one of these trucks down the street, they would know exactly what a wastewater combination clean truck looks like. The challenge on this action plan is really getting on the school district schedules, because they are very busy. And so that's going to be the challenge, to see if anyone would want to do that, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see if it works. The next action plan is we're doing right now. We partner with educational institutions. We're doing that right now with the Discovery Cube in Santa Ana, the Department of Education of Orange County. We do that with our waste-free lunches. So we'll continue doing that partnership with educational institutions, because it's very beneficial. The next one, hopefully maybe if the CAC members are want to participate, we thought it might be a good idea when we have special events, when they do come back, like Concerts in the Park, we'd love to have CAC members on that at our booth with us, just meeting the public, sharing information on what we do, and just really engaging with the public. So if you're interested in doing that, please let us know. Well, we'd love to have you in the booth. So that's one of our action items. Some CAC members would want to work with us in our booths during special events.
Scott, this is Andrew. I was just going to say that I attended the 75th anniversary event you guys did, I believe, on a Saturday last year, and it was a great event. I know that you don't necessarily have a similar milestone every year, but the point is the booths, I think, were worthwhile, and maybe in every other year type event to just get that type of visibility, I think would be well attended and appreciated. Okay. And I think the CAC members would be happy to help with that.
Oh, awesome. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Like you're our ambassadors, we'd love to have you out there and represent us and talk about the stuff that we do and help answer some questions if you can. And it's good for everyone. So thank you. Fantastic.
I would absolutely be willing to help with that kind of stuff too. I have a question though, as it relates to community events.
Sure.
Because I know a lot of the community events that the sanitary district partners with, or even sponsors financially, have been canceled this year, like Concerts in the Park and things like that. So my question is, as it relates to donations, if you guys are a sponsor of an event, do you give the money far in advance? And if you've already done that and the event didn't take place, are you required to get that money back?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, I think we should, because we're not just giving that money for free. So we're giving that money, and they're supposed to do some kind of advertisement for the district to demonstrate, whether that's a banner, putting a banner up, or whether that's describing in their brochure of a program. It's something they have. We're just not giving the money to do the event. They have to do something for us too. If that wasn't, it's kind of like a contract. That part of that contract was fulfilled, then yes, they would have to give us the money back.
Okay, that's why I wanted to mention it, because I know you guys have paid for banners and you've paid for booths and you've probably paid for a lot of stuff that isn't happening. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a footnote since it came up on the list.
No, thank you, Sue. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll check back with staff and see if we need any contributions being reimbursed or not. That's a good point.
Scott, I have a question about youth sports.
Yes.
Do you make donations or banners to any local youth sports organizations?
I don't think we've ever been approached by them yet. So if there's a youth, so I know, like, for example, like Estancia's high school baseball team or the football team, we do donate money to them when they make a request, and they put a banner up on their field, on the outfield, and you'll see Costa Mesa Organic Recycling. Now, if a youth sports center owns a baseball field where we can put up our banner, that'll be fine. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, well, I'm involved with Pop Warner football here in Costa Mesa, in the Newport Mesa area, and we would be happy and would appreciate any type of collaboration from the district.
Okay.
Well,
what we could do is we can email you, there's a contribution application you have to fill out, and then
Yeah.
there's, it describes the criteria, what we're looking for, how you would receive the money from the board. It's also ultimate, it's board approval, so it has to go to the board of directors to approve. But if you take a look, we can email you that contribution application, and if you have any questions filling out, let us know. We can help you with that, and then we can just see where it goes from there. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the last one on here is this one's working with Mike at Orange Coast College Recycling Center, looking at see was other new collection programs or new programs out there. I know, Mike, one time we were talking about maybe revisiting doing composting programs in your classrooms. I think that was one discussion we had, but I don't know. There's something that maybe in the future we can meet and discuss some other new collection programs. We have a lot of great programs at OCC right now. They collect alkaline batteries and fluorescent lights, right, Mike?
Correct.
And then also we have our cooking grease program, which are very successful. So if there's other kind of programs we can collaborate with OCC, I know the board would be very excited about that.
As would we. We appreciate you referring to us as officials.
All right, very good. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're in our community outreach communications, and our objective here is to engage with the community through clear, informative, and accessible communication and learning opportunities. Any questions on this? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, and then here's our strategies we'll follow to achieve our objectives. Again, I'm not going to go through each one of them, but if there's anything you want to talk about, we can talk about now, or anything you think we're missing. Okay, let's go on. So our strategy highlight residents who promote sustainability. So all these items on here are pretty much the same thing. And basically what we're looking here is what we learned back in, it goes back to 2016. We did a behavioral study. We teamed up with UC Irvine, and we did a behavioral study on our organic recycling program. And what we learned from that study is that when residents learned that their neighbors were participating in the organic recycling program, they started participating. So this was the same kind of philosophy. If we started hiring certain individuals and saying, hey, John Smith, thanks for being sustainability hero of the month. And we put on social media or put in a newsletter, maybe then that person's neighbor would want to also start participating in being sustainable or recycling. So that's kind of the philosophy we're thinking, is that when people learn that their neighbors are doing it, maybe they'll catch on too and want to do it too as well. So the next one is offer sustainable promotional products. Again, we do this right now. We purchase, promote sustainable household items. Some of the items, like I said, the kit bags. We have reusable utensils. Gina, do you know what other stuff we have? I can't remember.
We offer compostable doggy waste bags.
Nice.
Reusable straws.
Yes, reusable straws. Yes, that's right.
Things to try to help people reduce waste.
Yep. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Any questions on this slide?
How do you get those straws and the other items? Sorry.
We give them out on special events, but if you want one, Judy, we can get you one.
Well, either that or I'll pick them up at the next event.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely have it at the next event. Absolutely.
By the way, I volunteer.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we'll definitely have them available at events. Absolutely. Okay. So next one is standardized district communications to achieve uniformity. So this is to make sure all our communications messages are staying the same, or all basically, like I said, there's no confusion. It's just a guide to help us making sure we're staying on point on what we're saying. We don't want to confuse the public by saying one thing and then saying something the next day. So that's what the purpose of this guide was intended. And then we want to also redesign our website using a approved style guide. One, make sure we're compliant with ADA. That's very important. Also, just making sure it's user friendly. If you've ever been on some of the websites, it's very difficult to find what you're looking for, and so we want to make it as user friendly as possible. And then the last one, or on the slide, is what we do right now. We track and report our metrics. We want to make sure that we're getting out there. People are liking our posts. We are posting or interacting with our public. We want to make sure we're doing that, and the metrics helps us keep us on track to ensure that we're actively outreaching and communicating with our public. Okay, next slide. Okay, so enhanced communication platforms. So a lot of action plans on this strategy. Gina, I'm sorry, can you help me on this, the robust email marketing platform?
Sure. We're just trying to revamp our email campaigning. So making sure we're getting information about our programs and events to people via email. So we're probably going to take on a new platform to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And then the next one's update our social media policy to make sure it's up to standards. So we don't want to fall behind on our policy, so we'll do that. Conduct promotional campaigns through regularly scheduled social media posts. We do that now. The next one is to investigate methods of reaching out traditionally hard reach populations. We started that about a year ago when we made our newsletter bilingual. As you probably know, a third of our population is Spanish speaking. So that's why we made sure it was Spanish. So that's kind of like when we're talking about the hard to reach population. So we want to see if there's other populations out there that we're not reaching, and then what's the best method to reach that population. That also kind of falls into the
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question about social media outreach, and in terms of if you guys would be able to do this or not. I know you have to file or follow specific guidelines, but for instance, like if you want more people to see your Instagram page or whatever, let's just use Instagram as an example. So you run a contest on your Instagram page where if somebody tags 5 people, they have to follow you and they have to tag 5 people. And then those people have to follow you and tag people. And you say, okay, we're having a drawing at the end of the month from all the people that are following our page, and we'll have a random drawing and give away $50 or something like that. Is there a way that you could tie that into marketing so it would be legal for the district? Because I think you could actually get a lot more people following your page if you dangled $50 in front of them. I just don't know if there's a legal way for you to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. So we can definitely look into that. We do have a consultant on board now called Trepepi Smith, and that's what they're looking at is how do we get more people following our social media, and how do we reach out more people on social media? Doing that kind of tagging contest where you can win a prize at the end. It's not a bad idea. We'd have to look into it and make sure it's not a gift to public funds, but it's definitely something we can explore. So it's a great suggestion.
Because you guys post great information on social media. I follow you. Okay. And I have several friends that were trying to get traffic for their businesses, and granted you're an entity as opposed to private business, but they literally did that and they got thousands and thousands of followers, and they ended up only giving out like $250 out of pocket over, a 5-month period. Wow. So just, I don't know. I just think it would be worth looking into.
Absolutely. We'll definitely look into that. That's fantastic. Thank you. Great suggestion. Next item on here is continue assessing our mobile phone app. If you don't know, we have a smartphone app. Please, I highly recommend you download it. It's a great way to reach out to us, especially when we're closed, because when you send out a message on Gov on this app, it goes to an employee, and let's say it's a trash issue. Well, we would get that. Actually, if it's a trash issue, we know so that where CNR gets that message as well. So it's almost instantaneously. So we highly recommend if you don't have it, please download it and it's use it. And it's very helpful. And we want more of the public to get involved with our smartphone app. It's just a great way of communicating with us. The next one
It's
is,
great. It's super easy to use.
oh, thank you. Thank you. The next one is also brand new, what we're exploring. And this is a way to maybe have a program where people could just text message the district. There is a company out there. I was at an ICMA conference in Nashville, and I ran into a company from South Carolina that does this, and we were looked into it. It just didn't seem like it was a good fit for us at this point, but I liked what they were doing. And that is, you don't have to, rather than when you have to message, like when you have to do the smartphone app, you got to sign up for it, or when you have to do some kind of email or any kind of message, you usually have to sign up for them. What we want to look for is some kind of text messaging where you don't have to sign up. You just grab your phone and text a phone number that goes directly to someone here at the district about a concern, and then we can address that issue immediately. So something we're exploring that can, again, make it simplified to communicate and get a hold of someone here at the district, especially when we're not open. The last one is very important. We just did, this is a great way to engage with our residents on what they think of us, had they heard about us, what they know about our programs. We like to do these surveys every 2 years. We just did one this year. Very successful. It's really opened up our eyes on, okay, that's why we hired Tripeppy Smith to help us with our communications plan, because we were learning that there was still a lot of residents that didn't know we exist. We've been around for 75 years and they still didn't know who we were. So these surveys are really important to do. And so we'll be doing these every 2 years. Any questions on this slide? Okay, we'll move on. So provide workshop, educational events, and special events. Again, we do this now. The SEPA, the State of the District, town halls, we'll continue doing those. We'll continue coordinating tours with our solid waste and wastewater facilities, with CR&R and Orange County Sanitation District. And even we do tours at our yard too, so you can see firsthand what our guys do to help clean the sewer system. The next strategy is to use clear messaging and education to engage the community in district programs and activities. This is where we're thinking of maybe doing like little short surveys to residents, just to kind of get them aware who we are. Maybe a short little survey, a yes or no. After you do some shopping, and you get that quick survey. How was your experience? Just something like that to engage with the residents to see how we're doing. Any questions on this slide? Okay, let's move on. So we got a few more elements to go. Administrative management to ensure ethical, legal, and transparent management of the district while promoting a safe, productive, and healthy work environment. Any questions on that? Okay, let's move on. These are administrative management. Again, any questions or feedback on our strategies? Okay, we'll move on. So maintain accuracy and accessibility to customer records. So this is to make sure we have accurate records so we can improve on our customer service. So we'd audit our records to ensure accuracy, making sure that the correct information is being sent out to the public. It's also helpful, especially in the front office when someone's on lunch break and someone else is covering that person. We want to make sure that person who's covering that front office is giving out the right information to the public. So this is always good to have, is to make sure our records are accurate. This is pretty simple. To promote a values-driven organizational culture that reinforces ethical behavior and increase public trust. This was a suggestion by staff to, put our core values that we just talked about earlier this evening. Put that in our boardroom or in our yard, where the public and the board and staff sees us every day. These are our core values, because remember, this is what's holding us accountable. This is what we believe in. And so we see these values every day to remind us, okay, yeah, that's what I stand for. So I thought that was a very, very good suggestion and easy to attain. The next one is plan periodic reviews and updates of district policy and procedures. We just did this. We had an ad hoc policy review committee with two committee members. Monty Fields and Sue Lester served on this committee. We had a meeting this morning, in fact, and they're just finished up, basically reviewing all our policies making suggestions, and then we send that to our board for approval consideration. So thank you for Sue and Monty for participating on that committee. Any questions on this slide? Okay. Ensure consistency with regional operational policies. So this idea came about. We had someone asking for a reimbursement. I think on a permit fees and we never came across this before, and so we looked at Orange County Sanitation District and see what their policies were, and they had a policy for this, and so we thought, well, why don't we review their policy, make sure that maybe if we're missing anything, and if we are, let's make sure we're consistent with OCSD. So that's where this strategy and action plan came from. The next strategy is assess standard operating procedures and to ensure organizational efficiency. So the SSMP, that stands for the Sewer System Management Plan. And that's something we have to do to comply with state law. And every 2 years, we have to audit that SSMP to make sure that we're in compliance with all the requirements and that we're doing what we're saying we're doing. We have to do that this year. The last one we did 2018. And then we also have a document called SOPs for responding to SSOs. It's just a document that outlines how we respond to a sewer spill. How do we clean it up? How do we interact with the public if the sewer spill is in someone's home? So it's a very important document, but we need to make sure it's up to standards and need to revise as needed. So that's important. And that goes the same with the last one. It's kind of ties the same thing with SOPs with all departments. So we want to make sure all our departments, their standard operating procedures are up to date. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on. So here's where you're talking, Arlene, about CSDA. We don't really mention it. Well, we do here. We have California Special Association. So stay informed with federal and state legislation. So this is that partnership I was talking about, Arlene, earlier. You mentioned CSDA for our legislations. One thing we don't do is that we don't receive notifications about federal law, federal rules. Really, there's federal rules. They have procedures where they go through a rule making procedures where accepts public comments. So we thought it might be a good idea to at least get on that email notifications. If there's anything that we thought federally that might impact us, we want to comment on it. We're definitely heavily involved in the state legislation analysis. Gina does a quarterly report to the board every quarterly on legislation that's impacting special districts, specifically sanitary districts. So we write support letters, opposition letters, based on recommendations from CSDA. We're very involved with that. We want to make sure we're complying with new applicable regulations. Obviously, that's self-explanatory, and be proactive in addressing employment issues. It seems like every year there's new employment laws, new employment regulations. So we want to make sure our procedures are up to standards. The next one is to optimize the use of technology to drive efficiency and productivity in customer service. So one thing we want to do is we want to, and it all ties in with a partnership with Newport Beach and Costa Mesa, and that is we know Newport Beach has a permitting software system where it tracks the activities of developments coming down the pipeline and what permits are needed. And it'd be really helpful if we have access to that permitting software system so we can see where it is in the process. So we can see, okay, we know this development's going to be coming to us pretty soon. Let's get ready for it. Costa Mesa doesn't have that at this point. They want that one day. It's just they don't have the money. So we want to make sure, that's why our completion goal is 2025, because we know it's going to be a couple of years for both cities to implement the software, get it online where they're comfortable enough, and then they can comfortable enough to allow us to share the permit system. So that's the goal actually for that strategy. The next one I'm really excited about is artificial intelligence. You probably hear that a lot. Right now, we're in the process of using artificial intelligence to detect deteriorated manhole covers. So when you ever ran over a manhole cover that's been deteriorated and maybe it damaged your car. Hopefully it didn't happen here in Costa Mesa, but you hear that every once in a while where a manhole lid might not be securely fastened because the rings are worn out, and so the lid flipped open and damaged the car. Or maybe the concrete apron or the asphalt apron around is so broken up that it's such a large pothole, it causes damage to the vehicle. Well, the way we do it right now is that we basically have to go to all, nearly 5,000 manholes and personally inspect, get out of our car and inspect all the manholes. That's very time consuming. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to put a camera on our vehicles, and when the camera is over the manhole cover, the AI system is going to recognize that manhole cover and give it a rating. They're going to rate it from a 1 to a 5. And if it's a rating like a 4 or 5, that's telling us it needs immediate repairs. So we're going to get that information instantaneously, and it's not going to require us to get out of our vehicles and also put us in danger because of traffic. It'll allow us to be more efficient to know when those manholes need to be repaired, and we can repair it very soon. It's a really exciting program. I don't think anyone in the wastewater industry is doing this. And so I'm really excited when we roll it out to share it with you and share it with the board. It's very exciting. So any questions on that?
I'm just going to offer from OCSD, if you ever want pictures of what a missing manhole cover damage can do to a vehicle, I have plenty of pictures to share.
Okay. Well, I'm about to take you up on that one. That'd be good. Yeah. I make every time when I drive now, I make sure I never drive over a manhole cover. Especially if you drive over a manhole cover and you hear it cling, and that's not a good sign.
Well, I'll say, living in Costa Mesa, I think that one of the things that you've done an excellent job at is proactively seeking the composite covers.
Yes.
I think they provide for a better product. It's quieter, it's nicer for the community, and it's better for traffic. So I think a great job on that. It's really a step in the right direction.
Oh, thank you. And another great benefit is they're light. They're not as heavy as the iron ones. So
exactly. Yeah.
So my guys don't hurt their backs when they're lifting the manhole.
Precisely.
Cover.
I mean, one workman's compensation claim, and you know what it costs.
Oh yeah, no, we've been there. We've had them. I've had guys who hurt their backs lifting the manhole covers.
So yeah, it's a way of the future, in my opinion. It's how things are going to go.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Thank you for the comments. So last one on the line is assessing the efficiency to ease public interaction by creating and providing customer survey for district transactions. So our thing was, we put an iPad in the lobby and just engage with the public on their services. Maybe if there's a disability they have, we could always use the iPad to help. If someone has a hearing disability, the iPad can help with that. So it's just a better interaction with the public in the lobby. So that's one thing we're going to be explaining. Okay, next item. Next slide, I think. Okay, so now we're on human resources. We're getting there. Coming to the finish line here. Create a culture that's based on safety, trust, cooperation, and development that results in high-performing organization. Any questions? Let's move on. Okay, so here's our strategies. Any questions here? Okay, let's move on. So obviously, it's very important to value and appreciate employees. You hear a lot of employees. It's not just about the salary. They want to be valued. They want to feel appreciated, and we agree that's extremely important. That's why it's important we want to recognize. That's a typo. We want to say it's board. Should say board. Implement recognition board. So employees can post thank you notes and photos in the break room. The next action plan is to demonstrate appreciation for employees. We do this a lot. We have we do appreciation. We have we were going to have employee appreciation week, but then of course COVID-19 hit us and we couldn't do that. So we're having planning something every day for a week in March, employee appreciation. But as soon as we get back to normal, we'll do that again. But we're always trying to recognize employees for a job well done. And so we continue doing that. The work-life wellness services is really important. We stress that yes, work is important, but it's not your whole life. You do have a life outside of work. And so we make sure that, hey, you need to take care of something, take care of it. That's okay. As long as your work's getting done, that's not a problem. We want to make sure that you have a real balanced work life, and that's important. The last one on there is professional individual development plan, and this is to it kind of ties into our succession planning, where if someone has a career goal like they want to achieve, like maybe they want to be a general manager, maybe they want to be a department head, then that employee would sit down with his or her supervisor, and they develop a plan on how to get there. And that plan will describe what kind of education they need to do. Do they have to go back and get their master's? What kind of training or certificates they need to attain? What kind of supervisory skills do they need? What kind of projects that they can work on? And so it's a plan so they can achieve their goal. And it's a plan that they work together with the supervisors, and it's worked very well. Any questions on this? Okay, we'll go on next slide. Keep employees engaged. Extremely important because employees have great information, great suggestions. So that's why we want to do a really quick surveys on employees. We don't want to take their time and do a lengthy survey, but something just really short, yes or no answers to help us engage with our employees would be helpful. We also want to get establish a method for employees to provide feedback on programs, whether that's like a suggestion box or just really, allowing them to speak freely and on certain programs and procedures, which is what we try to encourage our employees to do. There's no dumb answer. There's no one gets in trouble for speaking their mind. It's something that we firmly believe in. It's one of our values that we believe in as an organization.
Scott?
Yes.
This is Arlene. I think it's important too to recognize that you give all the employees an opportunity to participate in this plan that not only the Citizens Advisory Group is going over, but also our board, and they're able to sit and look at it and find little dings or something they'd like to add. I think that's important.
Well, thank you, Secretary Schaefer. Yes, every employee participated in this process. Some employees never been involved in a strategic plan before, and so everyone got involved. Everyone had an opportunity to comment, make suggestions, and they were all great suggestions and comments. And it's been a great process, and I'm glad everyone was able to participate in the program. It's one of the values we believe in is making sure everyone's voice is heard in our organization. And that kind of ties into the last one here is a feedback, which we do every year. It's a one-on-one discussion that employees have with Diana Bodrowski, our administrative services manager. And it's just the two of them sitting in their office, and she asks them some questions and allows them just to relax and speak freely. And we get a lot of great information from staff, and we act on those. Once we get their feedback, we act on it, and making sure that their voice is heard and it doesn't, go on the shelf and never be heard again. So it's really important to engage in residents on these surveys. Any questions? Move on. So provide opportunities to improve individual skills, knowledge, leadership through professional development. We do that now. Unfortunately, we can't do a whole lot of conference training right now because of COVID-19, but we can still go to webinars, which staff is doing. One of the great things about this organization is that, and thanks to the board of directors, is that they firmly believe in professional development. And so if my staff wants to go, if it's a conference that will benefit their career and organization, and it's in New Orleans and it's in the budget, they can go. I don't think I've ever denied anyone going to any kind of conference for professional development if it relates to their development and to their career. Now, obviously, if you want to take a surfing lessons or photography lessons, obviously does not meet the standards. So they never asked me that, but if that happened, of course, that's a no. But if it's anything related to the district or the industry, then it's in the budget. Then the next item is a comprehensive survey. I kind of talked about that earlier too. But again, this is a survey we talked about where we make sure the employees are satisfied with their work. And if they're not, then hopefully they're honest enough to let us know so we can make improvements. Okay, any questions? All right, we'll move on. Maintain open and clear communications. We promote open enrollment and benefits fair. We have this every year where we have health organizations come to the district, share some health some tips, staying healthy, or talk about enrollment plans. It's really a lot of staff really enjoyed that there, so we'll continue doing that. The next action plan is to ensure our salaries and benefits are competitive. And we do this every 5 years. We just did it last year, 2019. So the next will be in 2024. And the last two items, we want to make sure we're on top of things like rewards and incentives. And so we thought it'd be a good idea to review incentives from other organizations. You know, what do they have out there that might be a good idea for us? You know, we have here some of the incentives we have in our district is like they have tuition reimbursements. If they go back to school, they get up to, I think, $5,000 a year. We have gym dues reimbursements up to $25 a month. Some of the other incentives, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Some other guys on the wastewater guys. So incentives, if they want to get a welder certificate, they become a welder, then there's a 1.5% increased pay in their salary. If they want to become a closed circuit television operator, they get certified for that, then they get a little bump in their salary as well. So kind of an incentive to encourage their growth in the organization. Any questions?
I just had a quick question because I have a hard out at 7:30, but I was looking at the human resources management section as a whole, and I didn't see any sort of hotline or a line that employees possibly can call if they have any issues and want to state them anonymously or state their name, and also any sort of anti-whistleblower policy, or is that in the employee manual and not covered here, but covered in the employee manual?
Yes, good, thank you. Well, we do have that in our employee manual.
Okay, I was double checking because I remember something like that, but I was just double checking.
Yeah, we do have something in writing. We don't have a hotline where people could call in and you know, not leave their name or anything, just be a confidential call. We don't have anything like that to report any activities that they might be concerned about, might be suspicious, illegal, or something like that. But we do have it in writing, and there's procedures to follow. If you want me to, I can send that to you. Would you like?
I have it, so no problem. I can find it.
Okay, very good. Let's see. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide, please. So provide safe work environments. So obviously this is important. This is actually our number one priority, is making sure our employees are safe, especially during with COVID-19, right? So it's extremely important. We want to make sure our facilities that are preventive maintenance they're performing preventive maintenance and so they're working properly. We want to make sure we conduct our OSHA training. So, and that's something we do with the guys out in the field. They do it every month. They have OSHA training and they have all kinds of learning, safety learning training sessions like climbing a ladder or how to lift heavy objects, stuff like that. So they're always training on OSHA. We want to make sure that they're definitely mitigate any kind of risk or potential loss. So every month we do recognize employees for working safely. If they make a comment, like I had one employee, the sparklet water bottles, right? And you ever had one of those sparklet water bottle machines, how heavy it is to lift one of those huge water bottles and put it in a dispenser? Well, that's pretty heavy, especially for women. And I had one employee say, well, why don't we get one of those dispensers where it's a electronic one, it's powered, where you just put the water jug in the bottom and then the water, flows through, not through gravity, but it's actually through electricity. And I thought it was a great idea. And we implemented that, and that saves on, potential worker comp lifting those heavy water bottles. So that's what we're talking about, always promoting a safe work environment. We do the Special District Risk Management Authority. That's our insurance carrier. Director Schaefer is president of SDRMA. And so they will come out at no cost and do a loss control visit and risk analysis for us. We'll have them do that next year. And then we want to make sure we want to submit our reimbursements to SDR on safety equipment. So safety is the number one priority for us. We want to make sure our employees are continuing working in a safe environment. It's hugely important. Any questions? Okay. And then providing mentorship opportunities. We have a great mentor program where employees can take 2 hours a month to visit their mentor. And the caveat for this, though, their mentor cannot be someone from the district. It has to be someone from another organization. So we have, our employees have mentors from the City of Fort Beach, Orange County Sanitation District, City of Anaheim, where they will meet with their mentor twice if they want to, 2 hours a month over lunch or somewhere off-site. And this is where they get, you know, guidance, motivation, emotional support from their mentor, and it's been very successful. And then we want to utilize technology to streamline processes. Again, we do that now, and we want to continue using that with our mobile platforms, like our tablets out in the field the guys are using, any kind of technology we use at HQ we will take advantage of. So we want to continue using that technology. So that's that. Mr. Chairman, I'm at 7:30 right now. We have one last element. There's a couple options we can do. We could just, we can push on if you want, or if you want, we can just have, if you have any comments on the last one, you can just put them to us and we'll be sure to incorporate those comments to the board when we meet in June.
My recommendation, if it's okay with the rest of the committee, is it looks like we are almost at the very end of the presentation. My recommendation would be to continue on, extend the meeting for what, another 10 minutes. If anybody objects to that, please state so now. Okay, hearing
all right, very
no
good.
objections, let's continue. Scott?
All right, last one. Here we go. Coming to the finishing line right now. So the last one's finance, and that's to maintain a strong and sustainable financial position to ensure fiscal responsibility. Okay, any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the strategies. These are our strategies. So any comments or suggestions? Okay, move on. So achieve financial excellence awards. This is every year to the government, the GFOA, the Government Finance Association, GFOA, Government Finance Association of the United States and Canada, it's a national organization. We submit awards to them for our CAFR, our comprehensive annual financial report, and our PAFR, a proper annual financial report. And we submit those every year, and it demonstrates that we're in compliance with GASP and general accepted accounting principles. So very important. We want to also, every year when we do an audit, we want to strive for unofficial, unmodified auditor's opinion, which is, if you're not a Montana, I'm sure you know what that is, but if most people find it unmodified, it doesn't seem like, when someone says unmodified, well, there's something wrong with it. No, it means it's a clean audit. So it means you did everything right. So we want to make sure we strive for that. We want to adopt a balanced budget. Right now, our budget right now for the solid waste side is not balanced, and we did that on a purpose. And that's because I'd say about 5 years ago, we noticed we had a significant amount of reserves in the solid waste fund, and we didn't have any capital expenses. Like we don't have to buy any new carts. We don't have to buy trash trucks, and so there was really no need for that $5 million. And what the board did is they lowered the trash rates. They lowered it 2 times. They went from 1995 to 19, and I think it was $18. And the reason why we did that is that the difference we would make up that difference with the reserves. So we always intended to have a unbalanced solid waste budget, but it'd be made up with the reserves. I mean, it'd still be balanced, but we would make it up with reserves. So now that those reserves are coming down to meet those goals, we want to make sure our budget is always balanced. So that's something finance is going to be striving to do this year. We want to make sure our fixture and plan check fees are appropriate. We want to review those every year to make sure we're recouping our costs for those fees. And we also want to make a review of our unpaid permits. So we do have some unpaid permits, and so we want to make sure development done. If that's the case, we want to make sure we get our money back we want to make sure we get our revenues from those permits. And so that's something our engineering technician is doing right now. So, next slide. So this is always good for forecasting revenue and expenditures. We want to create a 5-year revenue and expenditure projections. I think this is good, just good fiscal planning to see, try to kind of get a crystal ball where you are in the future. So this is just good planning to do a projections for every 5-year projection. We'll keep doing that. Maintain appropriate reserve levels. So again, we want to make sure there's an appropriate reserve level, especially because our revenues are assessed from the county. There's certain time of the year where we don't receive a lot of revenues. So we want to make sure there's enough reserves to pay for our bills. So that policy we're always reviewing to make sure it's adequate. We want to also, one of our revenue sources is our investments. Every year, Mark Davis will give a really great report on basic investment 101, public investment 101. I think he did it with the CAC last year. We'll do it again with the CAC this year and with the board. Very good report to make sure that our investment policies are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then develop long-term CIP. We want to review our asset life cycles. This is part of our asset management plan. This is really important. We want to make sure that we're replacing our infrastructure before it fails. It's that being very proactive, and you don't want to wait till it fails. So we're constantly every year reviewing our asset management plan. We're reviewing our infrastructure life cycles. Coming to an end of that life cycle, we want to evaluate it and make sure, well, can it last for a year or two, or do we need to replace it? So that's extremely important to continue doing that assessment. And then we want to do a 10-year capital expenditure plan, which I believe it's a requirement. We have to submit this to the city every year or every 2 years is a 10-year capital expenditure plan. Questions on this slide? And we'll go to the last one, and then we're done. The rates are not among the highest. What I was talking about earlier is that obviously we cannot be the lowest rate in the county, but we definitely don't want to be the highest rates. And so that's why it's important to do rates studies to make sure we're competitive. And generally the board wants to be in the middle somewhere. And so that's important for the board. And when you're in the middle, the difference is only like a couple cents, and that's what the board wants to do for the rates. And so we'll be doing that here in the next couple of years, do another rate study. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me. Any questions on anything I just went over?
No, very good. Good job, Scott. This is great.
Yeah, good job.
This is a fantastic
A lot of work.
Yeah, this is definitely the most detailed and I say very aggressive, ambitious plan we've done in the last 10 years.
It's very well thought out. I commend staff and board for putting together this very detailed plan.
Well, thank you. It was
Thank
definitely
you
good
all,
effort.
the committee, for staying with it and having a better understanding of us through this.
It was very helpful for us too. Thank you.
I'm glad.
We've learned a lot.
Well, thank you for your participation. Our plan is to take this to the board in June. I think we're going to shoot for the June study session, June 9th, and then adoption at the board directors meeting.
Okay, Gina, can we pull the agenda back up so we can close it out? I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. It's probably the last. Let's see. Let me go. I could go from memory. There we. Let's see. There we go. So where are we at? So I guess just committee member and staff comments. Is there anybody from the committee that would like to make any public or make any comments at this point?
Sure. This is a very thorough examination for us of what's going on. And it's remarkable in its consistency, in its mission accomplishment. To see the workers and the public being so impressed with the whole operation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Would any other member of the committee like to make any comments? Hearing none, is there any staff that would like to make any comments at this point? No,
Mr. Chairman.
I thank you all again for the time that you've committed to this over the last 2 weeks. I know it's a daunting task, and I appreciate your input. Our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, July 8th at 2020 at 6 p.m.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, community members. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
With
Thank you.
that, I will call this.
Thank
meeting-
you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sue. We'll call this meeting adjourned at, what is it, 7:40 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Gina.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. Good job.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.